Hey, welcome to our Friday night MNFT Freedom episode. Looks like I might be flying solo tonight, which is all fine. I feel like it's a good opportunity for us to kind of recap on everything that we've worked on and have talked about up to this point. First we started with the mindset. What goes through our heads when, we need to make purchases or when we don't need to make purchases. That endorphin rush that we get from buying something that we want, but is it necessarily a need? It's more or less a want. Last week, we did go in and we put together this really great starting platform that we offered as something that anyone that is listening to this or viewing this broadcast can obtain just by reaching out to the team at MNFT. Just let us know. We can share it with you and you can start your own budget. But last week we created this budget here, and essentially, we went through and we took the averages across the country and we put those all in here. And this base salary is based on the average median salary of someone with just a high school diploma, right? Just getting out of high school, entry level income. So based on that, we looked at what the cost of living is, and all this is averaged, right? So none of it is, like going a little above and beyond or, cutting corners and going lighter on it. And we took all this information and we put it together. So if you missed episode 6, go back and watch it. I know it's a little lengthy, but, we talk about all of these things on this budget and what is really a need and what is a want. Okay. And we even managed to work it around to have, some savings put in there. Now, last week we did have like some stocks and other things, but, I shaved it down to make it just savings 1 and savings 2. Or it could just be, $300 to just savings, right? And then that left us with a little bit over $200 for personal spending money. Excuse me. This could be going out to a movie. This could be, going out to dinner once a week. It could be a number of things, hanging out with friends, going to the club, right? Any of those things. And this left us with an end budget of $8.83. So on this chart, I did the national average of what your goal should be, your needs. Those fall under your needs group. And it states that, we ideally should be right around 20%, okay, of our income should go to that. So we're a little higher there. We are lower on the utilities. We are higher on the essentials. That's groceries, restaurants, transportation, etc. All right. We are lower on credit because we only had 2 credit cards with a minimum payment of $300 and a balance of roughly $500. And then savings, we were under the bar, and then spending, we were well under. All right. Total income usage was 99%. On what is recommended. And this is not my recommendation. This is what I found. And I shared all this in episode 6 of where I got all this information and what they recommend. That accumulates to 100%. So this little spreadsheet that I created, this has broken down into a pie chart, your spending habits and what your goal should be, what it should look like. Okay. And this could be done a number of ways. It could be done through pay increases. It could be done through cutting corners or cutting costs, making sure you're turning out lights, when you leave rooms, all the stuff that, our parents used to yell at us for. Well, there was reason for that. But nonetheless, this is kind of where our ideal spot is. And then I even threw on as an added bonus, and that kind of is leading into what I want to talk about tonight, is debt to income ratio. So based on what our expenses are going out, and excuse me, I'm a little stuffy. Based on what our expenses are going out or credit, those types of things, our debt to income ratio is essentially a 2 to 1. So we have plenty of remaining income that if we needed to get a loan, if we wanted to, look at buying real estate, or, need to get a car, that type of thing. Our debt to income is in a position right now that could be beneficial for us. So that is just one aspect of it. If you only have one credit card, or if you have no credit cards, right, it's hard to get them to begin with. So, what I would recommend is trying to find one that, is an introductory card. Unfortunately, there's going to be a annual fee that goes along with that. On most of those, unless you have, you're young and you have a parent that's willing to go on with you. Most of the time you're going to have an annual fee that you're going to get charged to utilize that credit. But the upside there is you want to keep that credit card. You want to utilize it for a period of 2 years or so, making sure that you're making good on all your payments and, being up to date on it, not going over your balance. All those things kind of apply. After 2 years, your credit report tracks for 2 years. Okay. And you can find this out. You can go to any one of the 3 major credit bureaus, and once a year, you're entitled a free credit report. So you can pull that and you can see how it looks and the payments that you've made on time and the period of time that you've had credit. So until you've hit that 2-year mark, that's when your credit report is pretty much filled up. And then it just starts taking one off the beginning and adding one on to the end as you continue to make payments. But the beginning time frame never stops, or never goes away. So like if you got a credit card 10 years ago, you still have that card today, or even if you don't, your credit started when you got that first form of credit, whether it was a student loan, a personal loan, a credit card, a car payment, whatever it may be. So we are looking at this budget here. We're looking at it as, we are inexperienced, we're entering the workforce, and we are looking at, I want to say hi to Yomi. Yomi's in the chat. You're more than welcome to join me, Yomi, if you can. But we're looking at this as just got out of high school and you're entering the workforce. No college, no tech school. That's what this salary here is all about. And we look at our budget and how it's broken down. And at the end of the month, provided we are putting some away for savings, we are looking at a balance of $8. Okay. So let's start here. What I did was I created another spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet that I created this week is a credit card interest calculator. All right. And what this is what we don't know when we get that credit. A lot of times we think it is free money. It's like, hey, Capital One gave me $1,000 that I can just go blow on whatever I want. Yeah, you technically could, but what you have to also realize is you got to pay that back. So whatever that agreement was when you signed on, whether it was, $500 minimum balance, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, whatever it is. All right. You also agreed to a interest rate when you sign that credit card. Now, with an introductory credit card, chances are you're not going to have an interest-free period or anything like that. So right off the bat, they're going to be charging you whatever it is they're going to charge you. I have listed here 21%. Okay. And we will make this $1,500 just because the way this calculator works, it doesn't show a minimum payment. The minimum payment is based on 2%. That's what the average credit card company is going to charge you to repay the amount of balance that you have on your card. So remaining balance, $1,500 is what you have on there. That makes your minimum payment $30. Now, a lot of times what credit card companies will do, even if you have a limit of $300, okay, that 2% rule makes it that your payment should be $6. but they have written in that statement that you signed that your minimum payment will be no less than $25, right? So if it is a $300 balance that you're holding, they're going to require you to pay $25. Okay. And then anything beyond that. So once you get up to that, let's say $1,700 mark in a balance, that's going to take you to $34. If you're at $1,200, too many zeros, that's going to put you at 24, which will bump up automatically to 25. That's the way most credit card companies work. All right. The amount of that payment, all right, let's just make this 1,500 to keep everything clear. The amount of payment that you're going to make on $1,500, the credit card company only needs you to pay $30 in that. All right. That's what they're requiring of you. Out of that $30, $26.25 is their fee to you for you to use their credit, right? For you to have that balance of $1,500, they are charging you $26.25 of that minimum payment. We will get into the reward in this a little bit later, but let's just say that you're making the minimum payments on a balance of $1,500. How long would that take you to pay off if you only made the minimum payment? It would be 119, we'll just round up 120 months, or roughly 10 years. 10 years of pay off $1,500 at $30 a pop, right? So how much of that is going to the credit card company versus your bank account, right? So these are things that you have to keep in mind when you're opening up credit. Now, when you have established credit, you will have the option to get, credit cards that have 0% interest for a period of time, no annual fees. You'll even get credit cards that offer rewards. Personally, I love the credit cards that offer rewards. I currently have one that offers a 2% reward. Okay. Now, why did I start off this session, the episode 7, with our budget? Well, the reason I did this is because there is a way we can get extra money. All right. It might not be a whole lot to begin with, but it is extra money. If your rent or mortgage company will allow you to pay with a credit card, that could be an option. And that would put you at $900 that you're putting on your card every month. If your utilities, which all the utilities that I personally deal with allow you to use a credit card to pay them. So that would be another 110 that you could put on that card, right? And then all your essentials, groceries, restaurants, no car payment. We said we were just doing public transportation, but even public transportation, your phone bill, internet, your self-care products, all that 1,038. And this is provided you have the balance on your card. If not, you can allocate a portion of it, whatever that balance is, and utilize that to go directly on your credit card. But we're going to just add it all up as if you're paying everything with your credit card, right? So if we do that, and then your personal spending is 200. So let me bring up my calculator here, and I should have had this ready to go, but I didn't. So I apologize. All right, there we go. Yep, Yomi, extra funds. So what we had there was we had $900. If I have this selected, there we go. 900 plus the 110 plus 1,038 plus 200 equals 2248. All right, so let's take that and go back to here, and we'll up our balance to, what was that, 2248? Okay, so 2248 with a 2% reward. Now, this is a good way you can build credit even without the reward. But I'm saying, let's say that you've established credit. You've got a credit card with no annual fee that is willing to pay you. And probably in the beginning, if they're going to give you anything, it's probably going to be 1%. Okay, so we'll start with 1%. All right, now the key here is every month to avoid paying the interest to the credit card company. Every month you want to pay off those bills in total, which you already budgeted for here. So we had talked about in previous episodes, simplifying your bills and making it to a point where you can really only pay them once a month. Well, this is a way you can do that. You could set up your credit card to automatically pay all of these bills, whether it's the rent, your electric bill, your gas and oil, water, sewer. Now the groceries, you're going to have to, plan and go out and budget for that as you're spending, but you use the same card for that as well, which you've allocated all these funds that you're planning on spending out of your budget, which is still keeping you in the green. We just put all that on that card at a 1% reward. Provided you pay this entire balance off every month, this is going to yield you an extra $22.48. And at the end of the year, it will be a grand total of almost $270. So it's giving you $270 at the end of the year if you let it just kind of sit there and let those rewards accrue, which some cards will have it so that you have to, hold those rewards, and they're only released once a year. Some cards will let you use them immediately, but it depends on your card and the agreement that you signed. But my point here is you pay this off every month. Every year you're making an extra $270 just for using that card. That doesn't require your income to change at all. So that's an extra $22 a month. And provided you do that, your credit score will increase, your overall credit limit will increase, your debt to income will stay in the green, where you'll have the ability to make purchases, and you'll have the ability to do that with excellent credit. So as that happens, then you start getting into the idea of, well, what other credit cards are out there? Is there a credit card that offers even more? And like I said, I have one that I absolutely love, and I use it in this way every month. That pays 2% back on everything that I buy, and I pay just about everything with it using that same 2248. That now puts us over $500 a year that the credit card is paying me to use their card. That isn't costing me a dime because I'm paying it off every month. And that is the key, is paying it off, because once you start rolling over a balance and get into the funk of paying that minimum balance, that's where you start losing, and you start paying $40 a month in this instance for just having that debt. So, and if we pay it off every month, then our amount of months to pay it off is one. Takes 0.08 years to pay it off. So this is what we want to see. We want to see us paying off every month. That means that this is free money the credit card is giving us to just use their card. And on top of that, it is building our credit, making it better, and giving us an extra $500 a year. And, we'll break that down to, here, let's bring up the calculator again, just because it's Friday night, it's late, and I'm not on my top math skills right now. But divided by 12, that's giving us $44 extra a month. So that's an extra meal out. That's an extra night out with the friends. That is $44 that you could put towards your savings, right? Because it's money you weren't getting to begin with. Well, here you have it, and it is money you had to do nothing to earn except for use a service that is provided to you through having decent credit. So that is kind of the rundown. And I know you're in here, Yomi, watching and listening. Any questions about this? Because I would be more than happy to, go into any kind of detail on any of this. But bottom line is, credit cards can be horrible, and they are horrible for those that have no experience using them and look at it as free money, and then get caught up in this burden of paying the minimum payment every month and seeing their balance never really go down, right? Because really, out of that minimum payment, only $5 of that is coming off of your balance. So you're going to be paying for quite a while, 10 years, in fact. Now, if your rate is different, that will change. And, that makes it a little better, but it's still 7+ years at the minimum payment to pay it off. So the whole idea here is, here we go. Hey, Yomi, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm always multitasking, so I try to be present. I try to be supportive, but you call me out like that, I got to get in here. Say, okay, okay, let me stop doing what I'm doing.
And I'm sorry. I just, it's always nice to have
No,
people popping questions off or,
oh, oh no, it's fine. I wanted to talk, so it's good. But yeah, I was in here like um, and when you were like, yeah, this is what happens when you get in the position to pay, that minimum balance. It's crazy because I never knew about what you just went through. I didn't know that. I didn't
right?
know I could, like use it and then pay it off every month or whatever. Not at first. That's stuff that I found out like way, way, way after the fact.
Yep.
So I'm in the position now where I'm trying to get to that point where I'm trying to, oh, if I have a few extra dollars, if I have like 10 extra dollars or I'll throw a little extra something even after I made my my minimum balance or beforehand. I'll say, okay, well this week I have $50 and even though my payment may be 60, maybe 2 more weeks I'll have another maybe $35. So I'll try to, pay like a little extra. Sometimes on my car payments, I'll break them up and I'll say, okay, well look, this week I can do this much. And I try to come up with a number that's either even if I can't pay the whole monthly payment at that time when I'm paying it early, I kind of already know what the interest part is. So I'll like pay this amount that'll definitely be more than what that interest is, and it kind of helps out a little later, and it knocks down my payoff balance because I've done it to the point where I've gone into the bank and I say, hey, I want to take this $100 and I want to put this $100 toward the principal. And it's like it's magic, what it does, when you can do it. So I didn't know that aspect of it when I got into, when I learned about credit cards. It's like people say, okay, get credit, build your credit. But they
Yep.
don't tell you all this stuff, and then you're reading this stuff and you don't fully understand, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, I could pay $30, yeah, I could do that, and
Hmm.
you don't really get the gist of it. But when you get into it, and if when you look at your statements,
Yep.
especially when I bought when we got our house, and I looked at how much was actually going to the principal, I was like, really? Like, are you serious? And it was just devastating. And it's just discouraging because you look at how much that's actually going to the principal, and they take how much is actually not going to the principal, and
Yep.
they take interest first. They do not knock down the principal first. They take that interest first. So I
Mhm.
got to the point where any little bit, any time I could have, like, I don't care if it was $50, and I may go to the bank and say, okay, I want to pay $50 toward the principal,
Mhm.
just because it's like a grain of rice, but you know what I
Well,
mean.
so
that
you're not wrong, and mortgage interest is a little different, I think. But in my experience, usually after about 15 years, your principal amount of every payment is higher than your interest amount. So the
Mm-hmm.
mortgage companies seem like they get their interest right up front, where
Oh yeah, they get it
90%,
first.
right, 90% of your
Yes.
payment is interest. And
Yes.
as your loan goes on, then your principal increases as your interest decreases, which is also why they're always calling you right around 10 to the 15-year mark to get you to
Mm-hmm.
refinance, because
To refinance.
they want more of your money, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's not that's absolutely correct. And if you got caught in that little loop where you ran up credit, you were not using it in the way that is beneficial to you. You were just using it to buy things
Mm-hmm.
that you want, right? Because we all were young and we all did that. And you ran up to your limit of $5,000. That means that you have to pay $100 a month back.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to just take this back up to 21 because we're going to say introductory credit. So it's going to be somewhere between 21 and 24%. So you're paying $100 a month. It's going to take you 10 years. But like you were saying, what happens if you just throw an extra $5 on every payment? So instead of 100, you send 105. That took almost a half a year off.
Mm-hmm.
If you send an extra 25, 125, that cuts it almost in half.
Yeah. And my
Isn't that
thing was, even if I couldn't do it, like let's say I had to make that $100 payment and I made that $100 payment. Let's say I didn't have that extra 10 or $15 when I made that payment.
Yep.
Even if I got it later, or maybe, let's just say, I don't know, my payment was due on the 15th. And let's say 7 days later or 10 days later, I had an extra $20. I would
Hmm.
still, I would throw it in there and say, okay, well, I'm going to throw this extra $20 or $25 on it. And it would help out. And even if it reduced my next payment, I still paid the same amount regardless. I didn't try to say, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna pay this and it'll knock my payment down. No, I just had the mindset that this is extra. I'm gonna pay this extra. And when I come back to make my next payment on the 15th, I'm still gonna pay that 100. I'm just gonna leave it, this is just extra money that I have. And whenever I can do that now, I do that, but I want to get to the point where you're like, yeah, let's pay it off in a month. So I'm working towards that now. So yeah, I
Yep.
want to get to that point. I want to get to that pay all my bills on one day a month
Right.
thing too. I want to get on.
And
Yes,
and
you
that
blew my
is,
mind with that, and I've been stuck on that ever since you said
yeah,
it.
and it's definitely nice. I mean, if you have your budget set up and you know exactly how much money is going out and you know that you have enough coming in to cover it all, anything and everything that you can make and simplify. And I'm using the credit card in this instance just because of the credit card offering a reward. All right.
Mhm. Mhm.
If it were not offering a reward, I don't know how much I'd be relying on it to do that. I might just, because all the banks allow you to set that up, and most of the places that you're making your payments to allow you to set it up to automatically have it monthly
Automatic
withdrawal,
draft.
right?
Right. Mhm.
Right. So, you don't necessarily have to do it, but if you're getting paid to use a card, I mean, why not? I mean, you have a if you have 5 grand going out, which might be a little excessive, but 3 grand
Yeah.
going out a month, right? And you're able to put all that on your card. That's an extra $720 a year
Mhm.
that you're making for doing no
For
extra
doing
effort.
nothing.
In fact, making your life easier, right?
Right.
So that's just something that I thought we'd talk about tonight. Wasn't sure what the conversation was gonna bring, but
Mhm.
when I got on here and started, I figured, why not? We talked about the budget last week. Let's talk about the credit card this week, because starting out, you got that job, right? And once you have that job, you're going to want to be able to buy things, or maybe it's not just you want to be able to buy things. Maybe it's time that you want to start building your credit and you get that credit card. Well, you need to be smart with that credit card. So if it is charging you an annual fee, if is nothing beneficial about having that particular card, which the first card you get is going to be exactly that. It is going to be a
Mhm.
drain on your income, on your budget. But it is vital to have regular payments, to be in good credit standing with them, so that you can get the cards that are no annual fees, that are paying you rewards to use them. Because these cards that are paying you the rewards, the reason they're paying you the rewards is because people that don't know how to use them are rolling balances and paying those rewards to them.
Mhm.
Right? So they
Yep.
have the extra money that they can forward some of that money to you if you're in good standing. And on top of that, they will gradually increase your
Line of
limit,
credit. Mhm.
as you go. And, having that limit increase with a lower balance is just giving you a better debt to income ratio.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Um, any questions? I know, we went over this last week and I shared it with you, and I can share this with you as well if you're interested in it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought that would be a good MNFT freedom episode to kind of just break down that interest myth, or not myth, but facts.
Yeah, yeah. Fat Chris say no. That's not a myth.
Yeah.
That's not a myth. I'm living it. That's not a myth.
So
But no, I didn't. Of course, yeah. Please share the document. But I really don't have any questions. I like, um, to be honest, some of the things that you go over because I've done the wrong thing. I understand. I
we,
understand what you mean now, and I understand how to, um I'm getting a grasp of how to fix it and how to look at things, because like when we were talking, having our conversation last week, I wasn't aware of doing a budget. I just, my thing was, okay, this is how much money I have. You can't spend that amount. So it just, I didn't sit down and think about, oh yeah, but make sure you always leave this, that, and the third for this, that, and the third. Oh no, I got that covered. I'm not worried about it. And then you just, you just and you get, how should I, you get accustomed and you get comfortable and complacent to the fact that, oh, I always have a check, or I always have this, that, and the third. So you
Mhm.
don't think about actually setting aside, because, oh well, I know exactly on this date I'm gonna get paid. So you just, if you're not taught, or if you're not just well aware of that anyway, even if you have in your head, oh yeah, I have to pay this bill, that bill, I have to take care of my lights, I have to take care of my water. If you don't have that set up strategically and planned out, then
Yep.
you'll just be doing all kind of crazy things willy-nilly. And and then all sorts of things get out of whack. So, and then too, when you have things that let's say you're going about your life willy-nilly and everything is just flowing fine, but then you have that unexpected that happens, and
Yep.
you're like, oh, I'm not prepared for that, now what? And that, that throws kinks into things too. So it's just, just having the education, or being taught, or just learning certain things. um I'm
Yeah.
really appreciative, and I'm just grateful that even though I've gone through this stuff, and I've made these mistakes, it's still good reinforcement to say, okay, this is the right way to do it, and you can still fix what you've done going this route. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and you are not alone. I've been through it myself. It was just, like I said, you get that credit card, that first one, and it's like, woohoo, free money.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
am I
yeah.
going to blow it on? Right. And, you go and blow it on something that you really don't need, and that, it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then you have to pay it back. And, you think when the bill comes, because it says that you only have to pay, $30 or
Mm.
$25, that's all you send them. And it's like, you know, this is
Oh,
fantastic.
oh
But
no, but then but when you look at there's a difference when you look at, what is it, when it says your credit, it has the actual payment due, and then you look at your credit card balance, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't. I didn't spend that. I spent $50, you know.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you owe us 56.80. Huh?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Or
That's
however much 25% of $50 is. Well, yeah, it's probably more than it's like $10 and some change. So it's like,
yep.
wow, how did I spent $50? Why did I owe $65? Oh yes, that 24% or 25% interest they were charging you.
Yep. And fees, if you run a little bit late,
Oh yes. And fees.
they're gonna
Yep.
get you on late fees,
Yep.
and that's just gonna go
Mhm.
right on your balance. They're not gonna tell you about it. They're just gonna put
Oh
it
no.
on the balance you've
And
got.
there's something else I've noticed too. Certain credit card companies have gone out and you could pay online and you could, as long as you did it by midnight, you're great. You're fine because you're
Hmm.
still within that day, right?
Yep.
Well, I've noticed that some credit card companies are now going to the business day. So basically, they're saying you have to make your payment prior to 5 p.m. So
Wow.
if you don't get your payment in by the due date by 5 p.m., you're gonna
Hmm.
get a late fee. It doesn't matter if even if you pay it on that day before midnight, it doesn't matter. If you don't have it in by that time, is you can forget it. And I'm like, oh my god! And they actually, send out notices and stuff. And I was like, so I have to make sure. So no more waiting until after I get off work or after I finish running around with the kids or whatever. No,
Yep.
you do it sometime during the day because if you wait after 5 p.m., that's an automatic whatever their fee is. What, $25, $30, whatever they want to charge you for a late fee. That's what you get.
Or you pay it once a month and have that card pay everything for you,
Yeah.
right? So, and uh, a lot of times, a lot of people don't know that you can actually call your creditors, and all these, with the exception of, like your groceries and
Hmm.
this stuff here, all of this stuff, your electric, your utilities, your rent, you can arrange that to be mm, to change your due date. So if you have your credit card set up to pay everything on the first, right, automatically you can have them, say that payment is due on the 7th, so you're always a week early. And then for your credit card company, you can have them so that you pay that balance off, you know, at the end of the month rather than the beginning of the month, so that we'll say the 20th of the month, you make that one payment to the credit card and pay off all the charges that you had for the month. That is the only bill you have to pay. Everything else is automatically getting withdrawn on the first of the month from your credit card, so you don't have to worry about it. And you just repeat that cycle, and you only have to worry about doing bills once a month. Now you do have to keep an eye on them because the utility companies, they like to increase rates every now and then, and the grocery store, we all experience the price hike in eggs, and and when your lease is up, if you're renting, or if you have a mortgage, this amount will only change if your insurance or taxes change. So otherwise, your payment on your mortgage should never change. um, but yeah, I mean, you'll have subtle changes here and there that you'll have to adjust for, but ultimately, I mean, you can make it so that your credit cards are a benefit to you rather than a burden. Hey, Dr. Tammy, how you doing? But yeah, so I that's really all I have for tonight, Yomi. Unless you want to add
Yeah.
anything else.
No, I was listening, but like I said, I can't stay in the chat like that. I got to pop in as soon as you say. But yeah, I greatly appreciate what you've done tonight and how you went over the credit card situation because like I said, everything you talk about, I say, okay, this is what I want to do. I pick something that you talk about, and it's like that's the goal I want to set. So yeah, this is one of my goals. So whatever little tidbit, whatever little chart you done made, yeah, send it to me.
Yeah,
But
and
yes,
trust me, it's
go
all
ahead.
been trial and error, right? It's been I've been to that place where, it's like on a daily basis, I'm like rummaging through all the mail that I got, looking for what's due, right? I didn't like that. I hated it, and I
Yes,
managed
I
to
do
make it
too.
work. Yeah,
I
right.
still hate it. I still hate like oh, I hate it. I hate mail.
Yeah, and
I know that's bad. I hate it.
yep, yep. And yeah, so I mean, I just managed to make sure that at the time I'm like, okay, well, I want to make this, once a week, but even that gets tedious because every week you're going through that, stack of letters and trying to find what bills, you have to pay, what bills you can put off to the next week and whatnot. Um, you know, Even if you didn't want to use credit cards to do this, you can
Mhm.
arrange it that you can do this without credit cards and have it automatically do everything for you. And even your paychecks automatically go in. I always like to go in and make sure, and I usually do it once a week. I'll go in and make sure that everything's working as it should be because, I'm just, it's tough to explain to creditor or a utility that, yeah, I had everything automated and something wasn't working that week, right?
Mhm.
So I always like to make sure that everything's going. But, the hour and a half that I would spend on a weekly basis going through and doing the bills, now I take 5 minutes and I'm looking at it and it's done, right? I just need to make sure that everything's going out as needed.
Yeah, what I started when I went back to work, I set up well, mostly everybody. I don't know of anybody who still does paper checks. I'm sure people probably do, but for the most part, companies have been pushing, like direct deposit. So
Yeah.
what I did was I went on ahead and immediately set up myself my direct deposit, and then I set up like another a separate account that was like with a different bank that wasn't even local. So that means I couldn't go to that bank. I couldn't go I couldn't go to that bank. So it's not local. And I have money going there every week. And then I have like it's like a checking and a savings. So it's
Hmm.
two different eh, um ways how I have money going there and being saved. And then I have another account that like my little business account, and I just have money going there too. So I have money that's all broken up like in all these little bundles, and
Yep.
there's only like one account that I could use to do my spending. If I have to make a like pay something for my business, then I go to my business account for that. If I have to pay something like I want to buy something or I have to pay something for the household, I go to my, my main primary, and my other little bank of my other account that's like not even local, that's just there. So I'm trying to, I have strategically built structure so I can save money.
Right. And so that's not too far off from, this whole budget here. It's just not quite all the way there, right? But you've thought about that. You've broken that down into that rather than pulling everything from one fund, you're allocating the amount of money coming in to go to where it needs to go and limiting yourself on what you have to spend for the household from just the one account. So you are doing a form of budgeting um, right now. It's just not as streamlined as it could be, right? But yeah, I mean, that's awesome, and that's a great start. And as you as you do this, by the way, and you figure out ways to get extra money and free money, mind you, uh because like I said, you have 3 grand going out with a 2% reward. That's an extra $60 a month you have coming in, $720, a year. You know, you may end up opening up another bank account just to kind of stash some funds away for a rainy day, right? Um, and that happens. I've I have evolved us from one to multiple bank accounts. And yes, we have a separate bank account for heroes, and we have a separate bank account for um, well, we have one for investing, we have, multiple savings accounts, and it's just all grew from just a checking and a savings and then evolved to more. And that was just by finding these little loopholes that didn't require me to do any extra effort, just be smarter with how I did it. And this is not something that you can do right away. Like I said, you have to build credit in order to get that card that's going to pay you a reward. But once you do, why not take advantage of that? They're saying they want you to take their money. Well, I'm going to take it, right? But yeah, I mean that's all. So now I
It,
appreciate you stopping in, Yomi. But I think that's all I've got for tonight.
yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, I liked it. It was short, it's sweet, it was to the point, and I understood it. So
Awesome.
that's a win for
Absolutely.
me.
Perfect. And Dr. Tammy, I appreciate you swinging by and listening in. And Yomi, I'll definitely get you that the credit card calculator. I'll send that link over to you. And anybody else that wants it, just ask and I will share it with you. And you can play around with it and figure out if you've gotten yourself into a whole world of hurting and you have a massive balance and you're paying $300 a month and only what, $30 of it, $35 of it's going to your principal and you're paying on it for 10 years, you can use this to figure out, you know, what if I paid an extra 60 a month, how will that take it down? Or if I paid an extra 100 a month, how could I shorten that period up? And that's what's nice about this is if you got yourself into trouble, this can show you a work to get yourself out of trouble. And if you've not gotten to this point yet, you have the possibility to look at how you could get rewarded if you find a credit card that is going to pay you rewards to use it. So, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I want to get to the point with the card with the reward. So I'm working my
Okay.
way up to that.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And it just takes time. Like I said, the credit report shows 24 months, and anyone can see that every year. Every individual is entitled to a free credit report from each of the bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. All you have to do is go on, create an account. And the other cool thing with those is not only can you create an account on them, but I believe the only one that charges is Experian if you want to freeze your credit, which is amazing, by the way. So I don't know if any of you have thought about freezing your credit, but if you haven't, it reduces the amount of junk mail you get for pre-approvals because they can't pull your credit.
Say what? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Um, you will not have those alerts that pop up that say, so and so did an inquiry about you because they can't if it's frozen. So, but you have to remember your password and your login information so you can go in and unfreeze it if you ever need to use it to gain a line of credit or a loan or you want to apply for a credit card with rewards.
Yeah,
So,
that I did not know. So see how I come in here and I get all these little tidbits.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So and that's a whole episode in itself. So maybe
yes,
one week we'll talk about the three credit bureaus and the benefits of freezing your credit versus having it unfrozen. Having it unfrozen means that you could be subject to credit fraud. That means that if someone gained information about you through you know just lack of security at your local bank or your employer or whatnot, they could use that information to go on and gain lines of credit in your name and run up charges. And you have all these creditors calling you, right? Well, if your credit's frozen, they can't do that. It won't let them. So, yeah, just little
yeah. I didn't know that. So thanks for sharing that too. I had no idea.
Absolutely, absolutely. So cool. Well, I think that should do it for the night. Yomi, I do appreciate you popping in. It's always more fun when there's people to talk to, and you're always a joy to have around. So
Thank you so much. You always dropping some gems. You always giving me the jaw drop. I always be jaw dropping like what? And a lot of times I have myself muted because I be, in the background like, oh my good, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Or
and again, it's not like I'm have any kind of special education. This is life experience that I've come up with all this.
to
So
be honest, sometimes I personally prefer, I feel bad that you had to go through the life experience, but I'm glad that that you went through it because it's easier for me to understand because you can make it relatable. Because
right,
it's not just you just giving me information out of a book, is you giving me information like, okay, yeah, this is why this happens, this is how it has happens, and I'm gonna tell you because I went through it. So
it's
I can you make it relatable. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate your perspective.
absolutely. I appreciate, of course, you joining in and asking questions, and I appreciate that you appreciate it, right?
Yes.
At least somebody's taking advantage of this,
I know,
of my
right?
failures in life. Someone's going to benefit down the road, right? But yeah, and this is all stuff that you can either learn the hard way and run down that path on your own, get yourself into that trouble, and then spend years digging yourself out, or you can take, some advice from somebody who's been through some of this. And not just me. Yomi sounds like she's been through some things herself, and I know Rochelle's been through some things, and you
Hmm.
can take our life experience and learn from our mistakes so that you don't make them, right? And you have a better future ahead. So yeah. So with that, Yomi, thanks for joining. Thank you, Dr. Tammy. And we will talk to you guys next Friday.
Yes, thank you, and have a good night. Have a good weekend, guys.
Good weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.